Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where today we're breaking down the Netherlands against England, and I've got a lot to say about this. So, first off, I am going to get onto that penalty decision. I'm going to cover all of that, but there's a couple of things I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to rag on Kobbie Mainoo right here, but also I'm going to show you a little clip later on, because I normally don't do clips other than the goals, but I think he had a fantastic game. He really did play well. One of my main criticisms have been of England is they have all the players have been doing, they're the same, and people didn't quite understand what I meant by that. Where Bellingham stood still, Declan Rice stood still, but in this particular game, Foden didn't stand still. He was everywhere, and so was Kobbie Mainoo. They kept moving around, and not just moving around, moving forward, in and out of position. They were so fluid. They made it real difficult to be picked up. They made it so easy to pass the ball through. But also, there's one thing I'm going to go on as well about this formation that England are playing with wing-backs, because they're not, right? It's a myth. What they're actually doing is they're playing a 4-4-2, and they're letting Bellingham kind of do what he wants, but he's up front on the left a bit, and just letting Foden do what he wants as well, giving them free run. Foden is playing all over the field. Jude Bellingham's kind of staying over on this left-hand side, and it gives everybody else so much more fluidity. Now, the other thing that gives them the strength is Declan Rice and Mainoo basically sit in front of the back three-ish, because he goes forward on that side, and he's never playing as a defender. Saka's not a defender. Well, they don't have to play with a defender on this side. And I was saying this at the beginning of the tournament. If you've got Kyle Walker as a centre-back, because he's so fast, he can just cover the area anyway. It doesn't make any difference. You don't technically need somebody there. But because you've got good players with Foden and Bellingham, be able to create space, and Mainoo running around. But this goal here is completely contrary to how Mainoo played for the whole game. Him and Declan Rice sat here, and when they had possession, to win possession of the ball, and then Mainoo ran off forward. But right now, what we're going to watch is when this drops, and you can see it from this goal in the first couple of minutes, right? Because it's the first time and the only time in the game when Mainoo wasn't alongside Declan Rice when they didn't have possession. So this header goes up, gets knocked back in, and this is a stable thing. I don't know if you know this or not, but the central defenders look to play it into their defensive midfielder, or their holding midfielder, or their stopper, depending on what terminology and which country you're in and how they use it. So as soon as he goes into his feet, they've identified that, and he should have had his out ball with little Kobbie Mainoo right there next to him, and he doesn't, and he gets caught on the ball. Declan Rice, quite frankly, not just Declan Rice, pretty much most of the England players throughout this tournament don't really get caught on the ball cheaply. It's not something that England do. They don't give it away, and they don't get caught on the ball cheaply. I don't think they're a very good team, and I think Spain are going to just destroy them, but they don't really give the ball away cheaply, and this is just a cheap giveaway. And you can see now, look at Mainoo, right? This is the only time in the game that he wasn't in that gap. Can you see that big gap there? Chong, 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 chong. It's the only time in the game that he wasn't filling that gap. He was just a little bit too far forward. Hadn't settled into the game yet. Yeah, and that's what has ended up causing this goal here. Bosch gets caught. If Mainoo's where he's supposed to be, you can see how big this gap is now. Look, there's nobody from England in this area here. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. You can say, yeah, but maybe Foden, but technically it's his job there. And if you were playing with wing-backs, proper wing-backs, what would have happened? Kyle Walker would have run here and dealt with that, and Saka would have come in and covered here. But they're not playing a back five. They're not playing that system. So you know they're not, because otherwise Walker would have gone and dealt with that situation there. But of course he's not comfortable doing it, because they're not actually playing with a proper back three. So what happens normally when you're doing that, and the midfield gets caught out, one of the three central defenders would step forward into midfield and cover that zone. Doesn't happen because they're not playing that system, even though they're putting that on paper and making it look like that to the fans or to, whatever. That is not how it's being played on the field. Now, here's the next crime from England. Now, again, as I'm saying, they're not really playing with a proper back three, because if they were, one of these centre-backs would have been stepping forward to the ball. Again, the ball's the most important thing on the field. If you don't go towards it, someone's going to kick it in your net box. No one is putting pressure on this guy here at all when he gets a free run at the goal. One of these two has to step forward. Kyle Walker's not doing it because he's so just right backish, and they're not really playing a proper back three. So look how much space this guy's got. So much space. He's got his arms behind his back. There's no intention of pressing him out there. It's just terrible central midfielder play, central defender play, because, well, they're not really playing in the proper system as they put on their paper. They're playing a 4-4-2. That's why they're so rigid. They're not coming out to press. Bomph and then it goes to the net box. And quite frankly, I think Jordan Pickford should have done a little bit better. Yeah, it was a good strike. The guy's fallen over a bit, but England really could have just avoided that poor start. Now let's get on to this penalty. There's never a penalty. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things here. Let's see if I can pull up this first thing here. Here's an image right now. You can see this from this image that he struck the ball and he's kicking his foot there. Okay, so it's not a penalty. This guy is kicking, Harry Kane is kicking the defender. It's not a penalty if you've taken your shot and then you follow through and kick the other defender. Now, if you say, oh, you've kicked the bottom of his foot or his studs, so it doesn't matter. And remember, the mandate for this tournament was not to give away cheap VAR decisions. That's why, who was it, Cucurella in that game, Spain against Germany, they didn't give the handball because they were like, well, we're not giving those cheap penalties. We're not doing that in this tournament. So that's huge red flag. But now I want to show you it in two different speeds. VAR speed and real speed. VAR speed, you're going to go just like I would. Oh, look, that looks like a penalty. Real speed, you're going to go, no, never. Let's have a look at that. So here we are. This is real speed. We're going to play this. Watch this come together. Boom. Really quick. Smashing that ball. Smashing into that player. It's a coming together. Nothing more. And it doesn't look much of a foul. Right, we're going to do it one more time so you can have a little look. Look. Push. Nah, not much there. A bit of a coming together. Now remember, this isn't a penalty. So remember that. That isn't a penalty. Okay. But now let's look at it in VAR mode. Look at how slow this is. Watch. Boom. Now that looks like he's stuck his leg in to hurt him. And it looks like he's, really stamped on a Harry Kane. Dosh. And that looks awful. That looks an awful challenge. But in real time, it doesn't look anywhere near like this. At all, whatsoever. And this is the problem with VAR and people that don't actually know football, or unless they do know football and they want a specific outcome to come along, so they make the penalty happen. Yeah, you can make your minds up. I want to hear your opinions in the comments below, because I do love some of your comments, and I do love every one of you that subscribe to me and listen to me. I want to know your opinion. Is it okay to kick a defender and get a penalty from it? Is the defender supposed to Harry Potter his leg out the way with a bit of magic? What's supposed to happen there? Because if that's a penalty, I have a feeling that these Euros would be very different if all those would call like that. Let's get on to the great goal though, because there's so much to talk about that as well. Okay, this is the before I do that goal, this is the Kobe Mainoo clip I wanted to show you and show you about. So as I was saying, he wants to receive the ball, and normally they just sort of pass it back and blah blah. But this is the difference. He gets the ball. Let's just watch what he does instead of me talking about it. When he receives the ball, bosh, he turns and he starts running up into the space. And everybody else starts going with him. Declan Rice doesn't. He sits and holds. You've got everyone's... the shape isn't really good. But if we look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the midfield. We've got somebody up there, Kieran Trippier, pretending that he's a left wingy back thing, which he's not. But you can see the difference. As soon as he starts running, Harry Kane starts running, everything starts getting pushed back, and there's a huge problem. That is the difference that England had in the first half. When they received the ball, it was Foden and it was Mainoo. They were running forward. What's his name? Jude Bellingham doesn't really do that much. He does run with the ball, but he picks it up in this sort of area, and then he tries to run across. He reminds me of a bit of Mbappe, where he's just looking to do the same thing, gets the ball, beats you with a bit of strength and power, tries to get a shot over. There was one good little run he had through the middle, but he doesn't get involved as much as Foden and Kobe Mainoo does. Well, not in this tournament so far, but yeah, quality little run here from Mainoo. Runs it on, dum. Look at the difference. Foden's running with him, and what it's really done is open up the massive space for Saka. They don't end up using him. Harry Kane's over there. This is the one that they end up clearing off the goal line, but it's just these two running the show, running through the middle, trying to create things and make things happen, and they did all of the time. They did a really good job of it. Got to give him credit. Kobe Mainoo played very well. I wouldn't have taken off Phil Foden when he did. I would have taken off old Jude Bellingham, because out of those three players, Jude Bellingham was the one that did the least amount in this game. I'm not talking about talent or what they might produce or any of that. Mainoo and Foden were playing great. Bellingham was just a bit part player, floating in and out. Let's get on to the goal. Here we go again. Ball's fired into him from Declan Rice. It's a terrible pass, to be fair. But look, Kobe Mainoo makes something of it, pokes it around, gets a toe on it, just enough to get it round the corner. Now, here's the other difference as well. Ollie Watkins should be starting for me over Harry Kane every day. He's just a more dangerous striker. It's not Harry Kane of 3 years ago, it's Harry Kane now. He really doesn't do much. Ollie Watkins is a threat. He's been scoring goals all season. He's just got an eye for the goal. All of a sudden, though, as soon as this starts going, you see him opening up, making his run into the space there. Holland, to their credit, they are pushing forward, trying to get that goal, but they've left themselves so exposed. Look at this gap here. Bump, bump, bump. And again, you go, nah, yeah, but there's no England players there. Yeah, I understand that. But what's happening is, because the most overrated central defender in the world, Virgil van Dijk, normally just say the Premier League, he is left that pocket of space and he's gone because one of the midfielders isn't back there doing that. So then what's happening is this space appears, and this is because Van Dijk's gone forward. That's where Ollie Watkins is going to exploit. That's the gap he's going to take over. And it's one of those things where Van Dijk won't get blamed for this. Everyone will just scar over it and say, well, Van Dijk was tracking a midfielder, I think it's Cole Palmer, instead of getting one of his midfielders to come back and do the job, and him holding his line and doing his job properly. He just thinks he's good enough to whip in and nick the ball here. And when he realises he can't, he has to backpedal, but that gap's already appeared. It's there. It's too late. Watkins is on the run. Cole Palmer's turned. The pass is made, and the rest is history. It's a great little touch. Perfect here. He puts himself perfectly between the defender. The ball, his first touch is perfect. He's right between the ball and the defender. Really well cushioned. And now he's just got to turn and get a shot on target. And he does that really, really well. Can you see that separation he's made as well? He's stepped away from the defender so he can just get a shot off and plough it into the bottom of the net box. The lad's done really good there. I think he should start the final. There's no way Southgate's going to do that, though. It's going to be very interesting. I am probably going to do a little bit of a tactical breakdown of what's going to happen in the final and see if I'm going to be right, because I believe the Spanish midfield's absolutely world class. The English midfield, if Mainu and Foden have a bad day, they're going to get overrun really, really quickly. Other than that, I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.